את ההקלטה שלנו, שיהיה לנו הקלטה. אני רואה שעוד חבר'ה מצטרפים, ואנחנו גם נתחיל את הזום שלנו. אז אם מישהו ירצה להצטרף דרך הפייסבוק, אז הפייסבוק. אני חושב שאנחנו עדיין בשלב שיש לנו את כולם בעברית פה, לא? אוקיי, we're gonna... עברית או switch to English? מה אתם רוצים? אין תשובה.
לא משנה, נוח עם שניהם.
מה זה?
נוח עם שניהם.
נוח עם שניהם? אוקיי. Got it. Everybody live stream. Everybody live stream, אוקיי. אהלן חבר'ה, בואו נתחיל בעברית ואז נתקדם משם הלאה. מה שלומכם? אנחנו הצטרפנו היום לזום, או אנחנו עושים היום את הזום, שאני חושב שלאורך התקופה שבה אנחנו מחזיקים נכסים, כמות השאלות על הניהול הוא תמיד איזשהו עניין מאתגר. רוני, מאתגר זה מילה טובה?
ללא ספק.
כן, נושא של המאתגר. אז אם אנחנו מדברים בעולמות של פליפים זה תמיד הקבלן, אם אנחנו מדברים בעולמות של החזקת רנטלים זה תמיד המנג'מנט. אלה שני, אני חושב בכל תחום אלה שני הגופים או האלמנטים שהם תמיד המאתגרים בתחומים האלה. והרבה מהדבר הזה, וזה חלק קשה ללמוד מנג'מנט. יש קורסים דרך אגב של מנג'מנט, אבל מנג'מנט בפועל זה משהו שאני די חושב שהדרך היחידה ללמוד אותו מתוך ניסיון, וזה לוקח זמן. אז מה שבחרנו לעשות זה פשוט להביא פה 3, למעשה 4 אנשי מנג'מנט, שכל אחד יש לו קצת ניסיון שונה באזורים שונים, וכל אחד, הרעיון הוא שכל אחד יחלוק עם הקבוצה את הניסיון שלו, קצת מי הוא, קצת מה הוא, קצת סיפורי מנג'מנט, קצת טיפים על מנג'מנט, ובעיקר אם יש למישהו שאלות, אז גם נתחיל בזה שתוכלו לשאול ולהתייעץ, זה תהיה הזדמנות טובה לעניין הזה. אז שוב פעם, unless I'm missing somebody and somebody doesn't speak any Hebrew, let me know, אנחנו כרגע נמשיך בעברית כי תענוג, וכשיעלו חבר'ה באנגלית אנחנו אולי נצטרך להחליף. מי נתחיל? תום, אני חושב שאנחנו נתחיל איתך לפני שאנחנו נעבד אותך במקרה של בעיות באינטרנט, זה נשמע הגיוני?
וואי, נשמע בסדר.
אוקיי, אז בואו נעשה. כן, רק רגע. אני שם את כולכם במיוט. אם יש לכם שאלות, תוציאו את עצמכם במיוט. בעיקר אני שם אתכם במיוט שלא יהיה לנו רעשי רגע ואני כבר שומע. אז תרגישו חופשי להוציא את עצמכם במיוט אם יש לכם שאלה, לשאול ולחזור. זה רק לענייני רעשי רקע. וכמובן חבר'ה שנמצאים בפייסבוק, שרואים אותנו כרגע בפייסבוק, אם יש לכם איזה שהם שאלות שהייתם רוצים להעלות, אז אתם לא יכולים לדבר, תצטרפו לזום בפעם הבאה, אבל אתם יכולים לכתוב הערה ואני אפנה אותה למי שמדבר ולחבר'ה מהפאנל. תום, הבמה שלך. טוב? כבר איבדנו אותו. תוציא את עצמך ממיוט, זה הייתה הפואנטה? טוב, אין טוב. טוב? זה היה יותר ממה שחשבתי. כן, טוב. כן, עכשיו אנחנו שומעים אותך.
אתה יכול לחלוק את המסך שלך עם הפרזנטציה?
אתה רוצה את הפרזנטציה? אוקיי, אין בעיה, אז אני אעלה את הפרזנטציה של תום. תום יש לו קצת בעיית תקשורת היום, אז אנחנו כבר נעשה לו, נהיה נחמדים, ואני אשרת פה בתור האסיסטנט לענייני פרזנטציות. אוקיי. ועכשיו אתה תמיד עובדים לי מה זה, איך אנחנו עושים את זה שזה יראה כמו פרזנטציה?
On the top right corner.
Slideshow. אוקיי. מעולה. תתחיל, כולנו שומעים.
כן, התכוננתי באנגלית, אבל אני בסדר בשתי השפות. קוראים לי תום גלמן, יש לי חברה בשם גרדן הילס. אני במקור מרמת גן, אז חשבתי שזה יהיה מצחיק לקרוא ככה לחברה שלי, ואני מזה 4 שנים owner and operator של נכסים במדינת קונטיקט. טל, אם תוכל להעביר סלייד. אתה העברת, טל?
כן, כן.
אוקיי. אז ככה לקחתי איזשהו סנאפשוט של נכסים שאני מנהל, בעיקר מולטי פמיליז, התחלתי ממולטי פמילי and I grew out of it, מה שנקרא, היום אני בעיקר קונה סינגל, דופלקס וטרייפלקס, בגלל איכות הדיירים וכאב הראש. אני עושה את זה במטרו אריוז של מדינת קונטיקט, אם תוכל להעביר סלייד. מה שמיוחד בי זה שהנכסים שאני מנהל, אני עוד קרוב יחסית לנכסים של טל ושירה, אז אני מנהל נכסים שנמצאים בין 75 ל-110 מייל מהבית שלי, ויש לי פחות או יותר כמו 60 דיירים, אז איך עושים כזה דבר מרחוק? אם תוכל להעביר סלייד, אז מבחינתי יש 4 עמודים, נקרא לזה, של property management. אחד זה היחסים בין הבעל בית לבין הדייר, השני זה הצוות שאתה מביא סביבך, השלישי זה תהליכים שאתה עושה, והרביעי זה שקיפות. אם תוכל להעביר סלייד. אז לקחתי ככה, אני מאוד אוהב ללכת לגוגל אימג'ז, אז ראיתי, רק כשאתה כותב לנדלורד, מה אתה רואה, אז בדרך כלל הבעל בית מוצג כאיזה חזיר, שאתה צריך אותו, אז הוא מסתכל על החוזה ונותן לך איזשהו סעיף בשביל להימנע מלעשות את התיקונים. אז אני מנסה להיות ההפך הגמור, ואני עושה את זה בשלושה מישורים עיקריים. אחד זה כשאני פוגש דייר פוטנציאלי, ואני פוגש אותם בעיקר אחרי שהם חתמו את החוזה, יש איזושהי שיחת טלפון לפני, אני מציג את עצמי, מדבר על המשפחה שלי וכל מיני קשקושים כאלה, ומנסה ככה ליצור איזושהי הקבלה ביני לבין הדייר. גם אני שוכר דירה בברוקלין, ואני פחות או יותר אומר אני יודע שגם דייר וגם בעל הבית מחפשים יציבות. אז אני מפרט את כל כאבי הראש שלי, ואת כל כאבי הראש של כל דייר פוטנציאלי, ומנסה ככה ליצור איזשהו מכנה משותף, שיהיה הבסיס לשותפות בינינו. כי בסך הכל דייר זה לקוח, אני רואה את זה כלקוח שלי, ולקוחות אני מעוניין לשמר. הדבר השני זה tough but fair, אז אני תמיד אומר לדיירים שלי יש 3 house rules, אחד, ובסדר הזה מבחינת חשיבותם. הראשון זה להתייחס לסביבה שלך בצורה טובה, שאני לא אשמע מדיירים על קשקושים עליך, השני זה להתייחס לנכס שלי כמו שהיית מתייחס לדירה שלי בבעלותך, ושלישי זה לשלם בזמן, ואם יש בעיות, לדבר בזמן. שוב בסדר הזה. ברגע, בגלל שאני לא גר מטר מכל הדיירים שלי, מאוד חשוב לי להעביר את המסר, שאם הם מנתקים מגע, לא עונים לטקסטים, לא עונים לטלפונים, אני פשוט יש לי איזשהו פרוטוקול שאני פועל לפיו, ומה שנקרא, בלי סנטימנטים. אבל כל עוד יש 3 חוקים שכולם שומרים עליהם, יהיה פנטסטי, מבחינתי, תצאו לפנסיה בבית, אני לא אטריד אתכם, אתם לא תטרידו אותי. דבר שלישי זה showing up. פעם בחודש, פחות או יותר, אני, מה שנקרא, מראה נוכחות בנכסים, אני עושה איזשהו drive-by, וככה כל בית ובית, בגלל שאני כרגע, אין לי מאות יחידות, אז אני עדיין יכול לבוא ולהסתכל, לראות אם יש איזשהו שלט graduation on the front lawn, אז אני אומר לשלח לייר, ראיתי שיש graduation, what does your kid plan to do after high school, כל מיני דברים כאלה. מנסה ככה ליצור שיחה שהיא שיחה בין אנשים, וגם שיחה שאומרת לדייר, הייתי שם. זה גם יוצר מצבים של אימות, שאימות זה מצב בלתי נמנע, אבל אני רואה את זה כמו הדייר התחיל. אז מה הדייר התחיל? אם הדייר זורק את הזבל שלו מחוץ לחלון, או עושה רעש, או מכניס חיות, או מכניס אנשים, שהוא לא אמור להכניס, אז הדייר התחיל, ואני לא נמנע מאימות, מה שנקרא. שוב, זה מה שנקרא tough but fair, תמיד צריך שהדיירים יהיו באותה שורה איתך, ולא להראות שאתה איזשהו חייזר, או איזו חברה שיש לה מאות יחידות, באמת באמת אכפת לך, ואתה סומך עליהם שישלמו בזמן, וישמרו לך על הנכסים. דבר שני, זה הדבר הכי obvious, כל האינפלואנסר מדברים על זה, שיהיה לך את הצוות שלך, שתוכל, שהוא אמין. אז יש 3 אנשים בצוות הזה, הסופר הנדימן, או דייר חביב, אם זה במולטי פמילי גדול, זה בן אדם שפחות או יותר בא לבדוק את השטח, משלמים לו בין 15 ל$10 לשעה, אם צריך to flip a switch או לסגור איזה ברז, זה מה שהבן אדם עושה, וזה אנשים שהנאמנות שלהם אליך היא מועטה, אז יש לך את 3 אנשים הכי חשובים שאני רואה בעסק הזה, זה השרברב שלך, החשמלאי שלך והמתווך שלך. כשצריך שרברב או חשמלאי, זה תמיד קורה בקריסמס דיי, ותמיד אין מים והטמפרטורות צנחו, ועכשיו צריך לקחת בן אדם משולחן האוכל שלו, וללכת לנכסים המאוד מעניינים שלי, ועכשיו לתקן לדייר את המים. אז זה אנשים שצריך לשמור איתם ביחסים מאוד מאוד טובים, אבל nevertheless, שיהיו לך כמה כאלה, כי הם גם יקרים, וגם אתה צריך אותם בזמנים מאוד מאוד קריטיים, שיכול להיות שבן אדם בדיוק בחופש, אז הוא לא יצליח להגיע בזמן לדייר. אתה רוצה לתת את השירות הכי טוב לדייר, שגם בקריסמס דיי יהיה לו מים חמים. השלישי זה המתווך שלך, בהתחלה כמו ישראלי טוב, אני עשיתי גם Tenant screenings, מהר מאוד הבנתי שצריך להשאיר את הדברים האלה למומחים, וצריך להיות, אז יש לי, בכל אזור שאני פועל, יש לי מתווך אחד שהוא מקומי, ואני סומך עליו, והוא גם הביא לי ככה off market deals, מתווך ומתווכת, וזה לא מפריע לי to hold them accountable, זאת אומרת, אם יש דייר שהם מכניסים, הם ראו אותו פנים מול פנים, והדייר הזה יוצא אחרי 6 חודשים, או יותר גרוע, מפסיק לשלם אחרי חודש אחד, אין מצב שאני לא מקבל את הדייר הבא בחינם, כאילו זה צריך מערכת אמון מאוד מאוד חזקה, שבן אדם השני יודע שאם הוא מפשל, הוא צריך לשלם על זה, אחר כך בזמן שלו. Next slide, טל, אם תוכל. אנחנו ב-processes. כן? אחלה. אז תהליכים, אני בתור מהגר, זה קצת זר לי, אבל הג'ונגל האמריקאי, אבל בגדול למדתי להבין שכשיש לך איזשהו פלייבוק, אין שאלות מה שנקרא. אם יש, לא שומעים אותך טל. אתה מדבר? אליי?
Tom, we're going to switch to English, okay?
Okay, that's great. So I've learned that that in the American culture, people appreciate a good process and policies. So you need to have your own playbook because there's a lot of things that come up again and again, like, hey, I can only pay 50% of this month's rent. What is going to be the late fee? Are you going to accept 50% of the rent? Problems that are directly associated with tenant negligence. What do you do? So if you hire a property manager or you are one yourself, you better be consistent because you have to treat, Dave from apartment 1 the same as you would treat Sue from apartment 2. Because if you don't treat everybody the same, they're going to find out and it's going to bite you in the ass. Next slide, Tal, is transparency. And that I think goes for this is like the most problematic thing when you hire a property manager. So when I have partners on a deal and I'm owning and operating, they could log into the bank account anytime, any day. They could see the income coming in, my fees coming out. At any given point of time, there's an email for the property that gets all the receipts and all the back and forth with contractors, all the bids. So transparency is key. Often you hear people arguing, hey, how much are you paying your property managers? 8%, 10, 12%? What's their fee if something bad? What's their overhead if something, if you have to call a plumber? I wouldn't even talk about these things. The most fundamental thing that you need to have with your property manager is transparency and having somebody that you can genuinely trust. If you're a price shopper, they'll find a way to get the money they want. So I would not talk about money with a property manager. Just give them what they ask, or simply don't hire them. Next slide is, it's keep in touch. So that's good. I think that I did not stretch it too much, just 15 minutes. So this is the ways to keep in touch with me. You could, this is my phone. You could call, text, or WhatsApp me. I'm pretty active on Instagram. You could find me also on Facebook Manager, email, and tombuyshouses.com. And now, I'm happy to take any questions from the crowd.
I will ask you a question, Tom, and as I'm going to stop the presentation, it's easier for me to see it this way. Very nice presentation. We try to be practical. So let's talk practical matters. Day-to-day operation. Tell us a little bit about the day-to-day. This is as an ideas, I agree. Practical matters.
Yes.
Day-to-day operation. I wake up in the morning. First thing.
All right. So I think
I want to give an example what I mean. Okay. We have Shira over here, great guest. She does all the property management for us. Shira starts the day by half an hour, an update call with Justin every day. This is on a practical level. This is what we do. So it's nice keeping a team practical.
Okay. So I mean, I would probably look into this by phases of the month. So between the 1st and the 15th, my main concern is to make sure the company collects 100 or more of its rent roll. You can collect more by collecting late fees. So this is the focus on the start of the month, the collection phase. I think this, that request from tenants in and out day, and this is just like putting up a fire. You get a message from a tenant, hey, I don't have hot water. So you just you call your super goes there saying, hey, this is really, there's no hot water. Then you call your plumber. The plumber says, okay, I'll get there, this and that. You pair the plumber with the tenant to work their magic, and have the plumber just send you an invoice. When it comes to the second half of the month, I honestly feel like it's more relaxed. This is the best time to start showing up at the properties, mingling and saying hi. So the sole focus, on the property management side is to serve your clients and make sure you also serve the owner or the joint venture. So at the first half of the month, collections. At the second, just maintaining a good, healthy relationship with the tenants, dealing with any leasing, any vacancies that are coming up, making sure that the realtor puts up the the listing on Zillow and they're having an open house, that sort of thing.
Perfect. Question, guys. Questions? No questions. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Sure, I would love to share this presentation with all whom attended. Afterwards, I bet that Tal can take care of that.
Yeah.
And you're all more than welcome to ask me any question anytime when it comes to property management or for Connecticut. That's pretty much it. Thank you for your time.
When I'm going to send the email at the end of the Zoom with the recording and everything, I'm going to add the link for your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm putting myself on mute.
Perfect. Thank you. Next, Ronnie, talk to us. Let's start with the bike on the behind you. What type of a bike do you ride?
You're giving me the place to speak, Hebrew or English? What do you prefer?
English.
English, okay. My name is Ronnie, not Ronnie. Everybody doing the same mistake, especially Israelis. If you take my name and you give it to American people, it's Ronnie, not Ronnie, but that's okay. People knows me because
ask you, Ronnie.
I'm from Florida. 22 years in Florida. We are doing real estate as real estate office, and also we give full service for property management. The property management company was born somewhere around about 14 years ago when the market crashed and investors start to come over to Florida to buy houses. And the question was, but who's going to manage that for us? Who's going to run it for us? And that's how we stepped inside to this market. We are giving all the services in Florida, real estate and full property management. However, and I'm not going to give stories, that we're getting the regular phone calls every day. No hot water, no AC, no whatever. The door is broken. We had an issue last year, and people that knows me on the website know that I was very sarcastic. I like to write a lot of stuff on the Facebook pages, but we backed up. You're not going to see us anymore on Facebook or on the social media because we had a big problem. It's one of the stories that I'm going to give you very shortly. Basically, Florida is different. I don't know about other states. Tom was from Connecticut, so I don't know the rules over there. All I can speak is about Florida. And as you know, right now, as we speak, the leases are being changed, and there is not new law that require to speak with the tenant before increasing rents 60 days. Otherwise, you're going to lose. And the tenant have the right to move out if you're increasing more than 5%. So there's a lot of changes over here. People think about property management that we are kind of rip-off people, that we give invoices and then prices, whatever we do, that's wrong. Property management is not just to replace hot water or replace a lock on the door or change the window. We do a lot of stuff that people don't think that property management do. And I'm going to give you a few samples of what we are doing. So, for example, by the way, we have about 300 doors that we are managing, West Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade. We used to do Monroe County, which is the Keys, but that was a big headache, so we left it. And hopefully, by the end of the year, we're also going to open an office in Kissimmee, Orlando area. Property management, you're getting a phone call from the city that one of the properties is actually a business, and looking to find out what's going on over there. And we found out that the tenant opened a barber salon, a beauty salon in the unit. And now there is a violation, so we have to cure it, we have to deal with that. And the landlord, of course, is not here. So this is one of the jobs, that the thing that we are doing as a property management. Another story is that we're receiving usually, like Tomer said, the first of the week is usually collecting the money. And then there is a tenant, the landlord that calling us and saying it's the 6th of the month. I didn't receive the rent. Can you help me with that? So we are going to the unit, knocking on the door. Nobody open us. And like a few days later, we start to receive phone calls from the tenants next to the unit that there is a weird smell coming from the unit. Apparently that tenant, rest in peace, he passed away. And for like 9 days, nobody knew that he is inside the unit. So we have to work again with the fire rescue and the police to do everything over there. So that's another job that we are doing. We also have the funny stories about the tenant that never lived in the property, something very common that people doing leases, and they're going out and they do it like for friends. So they can move in, people that have bad credit and they don't want that you're going to find them, but asking a favor from friends to do the lease for them. So we check it by monitoring the properties, and we usually going to the properties between 2 to 3 times a month. Going in, knocking on the door, and checking that everything is kosher and everything is good. The reason that we are not on social media anymore, and we call it in Hebrew, Al Torah v'Ishunim. That's a true story that happened to us last year, that since then we backed up almost everything and deleted from the social media. We had a property that we purchased the property with investors, and when we purchased the property, they told us that there is a problematic tenant, and the seller even said that I think that that tenant is your cousin. We didn't know what he's talking about, and when we start to deal with the property, to manage the property, we saw him, we knew that there's a mezuzah on the door, but we never saw the tenant. And I put a note under the door that where you need to send the money. In the first 3-4 months, he sent the money every time late, like in the middle. He choose whenever he wanted to. So eventually we start to do eviction. We did the eviction for the tenant, and I was in Israel last July, getting a phone call when I'm in Israel. Somebody asked me, can I talk to you in Hebrew? You speak Hebrew? I said, yes. And then they start to curse me like crazy. And I don't know what they're talking about. And they told me that if I'm not going to cancel that eviction, they're going to do horrible things. I don't want to, I mean, really, really, really life-threatening about me, about my family. And I hang the phone. I didn't understand what's happening. So another time he's calling. And the guy said, I know exactly where you're at. And I know that you are not in your house. And I'm going to burn your house. And I'm going to burn your office. That was the point that I realized that everybody is today in the small world. They're watching us through Facebook. They know exactly where we're at. And immediately I deleted everything and we stopped with that. We kicked him out. It was an Orthodox guy that used to sell from the house drugs and Bible stories and Bible books. So that's was the story about him. Money. We don't touch money. We don't touch cash. We make sure that all the rents being deposited straight to the tenants, to the landlords. We do work with tenants during the COVID. We worked with tenants that had problems. We were very lucky. We lost maybe 10 units. They were able to pay. And with all the rest of the tenants, we work with them on some type of agreements. The other friend, Tom, said that we have 3 people that are very important, and that's the same with us. It's the plumber, electrician, and the handyman. Those are the people that work with us, and we work with them together. That's it. We are officially vendors for the U.S. Ministry of Defense. So some of the units are being granted to the Army, to veterans. It's similar to Section 8, but better than Section 8, because in those units, the Army is paying also all the utilities, electricity, internet, whatever those people need. And the requirement, the check for those units is 1 step over the Section 8. That's it. I lost myself. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask me.
I'm gonna go, Ronnie. I'm gonna go with Ronnie. I'll be nice. I'm gonna go back to the same question that I asked Tom, and I'm gonna ask you out of your 20+ years. First of all, your best 3 tips. Second, give us the day-to-day operation, or how do you
let me start with
all of the tasks on a daily basis? If there is any system that you find out works for you.
Okay. The company is being managed actually by my wife. She's managing the company. Our day-to-day operation usually starts somewhere around, I would say 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when we are sitting and we are looking on all the complaints that we received the night before. Usually it's going to be AC.
I'm gonna stop you, Ronnie. How do you receive the complaints? I'm trying to go to the details so people understand how it works. How do you
Okay.
receive complaints?
Phone, WhatsApp, email.
WhatsApp and email. Okay.
Yeah, with people calling, the AC is not working, the oven got broke, the fridge is not, there is a plumbing issue, all those phone calls. We sit in the morning and then we start to monitor where we are sending our people, because it's not make sense to send the electrician to Miami, then to Fort Lauderdale, then back to Miami, then back to Coral Springs or other area. So what happened is that we are doing the station in like Miami, all the calls, then Fort Lauderdale, then West Palm Beach, whatever it is. Same for the plumber, same for the handyman. By the way, just to let you know, the law right now has been changed. In Florida, if a tenant is calling and complaining that let's say the washer and dryer is not working, right now you have maximum 10 days to repair or replace. Otherwise, the tenant have to write to go buy whatever he wants and deduct it from your next rent. And we don't want that the investor is going to be crazy because somebody is deducting over prices. That's what we are doing. So usually it starts 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, making a list of all the stations that our people need to go. Then I do the real estate and I know all the people that moving in and out. So my job is to travel between the properties, inspect the properties, tenant telling you, hey, that's going to be my last month, I'm moving out. I have the right to go. I'm not going to find them 5 days in advance. I'm going in, checking in, make sure that the property going to be ready. I do all the background checks. One of the rules that we have is that we don't, no matter what, we don't have sympathy to nobody. But if you don't bring first, last, and security, or in case of Section 8, 1 month security, we're not going to let you go into our properties, no matter what. It's not going to happen. So in order to bring back the security, I have to do the inspections to make sure that the property is okay. I'm driving between the properties. Last week, Thursday and Friday, I was running between about 90% from our properties because we had a tropical storm in Florida. So one of the responsibilities that I have is to go around and make sure that there is no garbage outside, there is no stuff outside that can block the sewer, and make sure that the property is ready for the heavy rain. So this is the operation. I do the out work, my wife do the inside office work. What was the other question that you asked me before?
No, that was, I was wondering about the day, how the day-to-day looks like, because again, different operation works differently. By the end of the day, all of us need to do the same job, but we do it differently. So
yeah, we do it differently.
Yeah.
I walk to the properties, I travel with the properties, base almost twice a month. I have to see that they exist. I have to see that, things are okay. Landscapers, we are paying thousands of dollars every month to landscaper. I have to monitor to see what he's doing, especially when we are in Florida in the raining season. And in the raining season, you have to do the cut 3 times a month. So, I have to see what he's doing. Otherwise, I'm going to look very bad if I'm not going to monitor him. Okay. So I'm the outside guy. I'm traveling all day long. That's it.
Are you riding the bike to the properties? Are you riding the bike to the properties or are you driving?
The motorcycle? Well, you're going to be surprised, yeah, but sometimes during the winter time over in Florida, that's my best ride over there in the back.
What's that, Harley? What is it?
No, it's Kawasaki Vulcan Vaquero 1700cc.
Yeah. Okay. Question, guys.
Question, ask me about Florida. Whatever you need, I'm here to help you. Any question that you have.
You guys have an open line to the management. You can complain right now.
You can
I
ask
have
me.
I have a general question, Ronnie.
Yes.
So actually, I own in a different part of Florida, but also in some other states. But just in general, I've always tried to understand. I work with many property management companies. First, the reason I'm asking you is because you made me think a bit when you talked about what you do, which sounds absolutely wonderful and unique for a property management company. You said something about visiting the properties often, checking on the work that was done afterwards. I am in general happy with the property management companies that I work with, but they don't come anywhere close to doing that. And I can't imagine how it can be economic. So whatever it is that you charge, right, I'm paying between 7 and usually 7-8% a month. And I can't imagine how they could do too much with that. So some of them, they're all different. Some of them, if they have to accompany an inspector from the city, they'll charge me $50. Some will charge me $70. Some do it for free. There's like a whole range. So 300 properties, it's just really hard for me to understand how you're able to sustain that.
I'm going to give you the answer. And since you ask about money, so I'm going to tell you. We actually consider one of the cheapest companies. We don't charge percentage. We charge flat fee per door. And we also don't have a yearly agreement. We charge our clients every quarterly. So if you're not happy, when it's happened, no problem. Let me know that you're not going to renew the contract by next quarter, so you're good. I'm going to tell you, some properties became very greedy. I, as a property manager, I get my set fee by the end of the month. But don't forget something. 300 properties, we do an average of, I would say, 15 leases a month. And when we do the leases, don't forget that we take the first month. It's coming to us. So that's also income, if you look at that. Also, we are educating the tenants. And eventually, if there is a tenant that going to move out and look for a house to purchase, they're going to come to us. So we also make money from that. But yeah, that's what we are doing. We charge a flat fee. I don't charge percentage. And of course, when there is a special project, yes, we talk before, like for example, right now, 2 months, the property going to go to full renovation. So we don't charge the monthly fee, but we do charge like supervising. And that's something that we are negotiating with the landlord. But yeah, and some of our properties are actually in multi-family building. For example, we are building like 12 units, 16 units. So going over there, if you work in Florida, you know that on the lease, on any lease, there is a rule that's saying that the landlord have the right to visit the property within 5-day notice. So it's very easy. We send them email. Next Friday, we're going to come visit the property. Please make sure that, somebody's going to be there. And that's what we are doing.
What do you do if you arrive to a property and say they're living, the property's messy, you see that they're not taking good care of it? What's your leverage there?
They're getting a warning in written. And if there is, it's going to be again, we're not going to renew the lease for them. Very simple. We have the right not to renew the lease.
You do a yearly lease, Ronnie?
Yeah, we don't do month to month. None of our tenant is month to month. And we don't do Airbnb.
What do you see? Yeah, what do you see the advantage of the yearly lease over the month to month?
Well, right now, actually, in Florida, and again, I don't know about other states, but right now in Florida, they changed the law. So month to month, it's not exist anymore month to month. Right now, if you have a month to month tenant and you used to collect the rent on the first of the, like, for example, 1st of June, You can tell him, listen, by July, you need to be out. That's used to be. Right now, they change it. Right now, you need to give him 2 months notice. So,
It's still better than waiting 8.
well, when you have a yearly lease, I can control the tenant because I'm holding also 2 months security for me. I'm holding the last month and I'm holding the security. So I can control the tenant better. And besides, when you have a yearly lease and you have landlords that are trying to do refinance on the properties, there's no banks that are going to give them on month to month. Banks want to see, banks want to see leases. I don't know what.
I do it all the time.
Right. So we usually have that problem. Month to month, it's not acceptable when you do a refinance in where we are working.
Fair enough. Any more questions?
Cheryl, what area do you work in Florida?
I'm in Cape Coral.
Oh, okay. How long do you work over there?
5, 6 years.
Okay.
I got there in time.
No, that when the market crashed in 2008, Cape Coral was the biggest loss in Florida.
Let's hope it doesn't happen again.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Guys, last question. If somebody has a question, something.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you have a lease with a tenant and then after a month of not paying, you find out that somebody else is living in the house, they're not paying, what is the best legal option to remove this tenant? Or it's not a squatter because the original lease owner approved this person in the house, but actually he's not paying. So what is the option?
Okay, so on any lease that you do in state of Florida, there is a mark that you need to agree if you, the landlord, agree for sublease or not. If you don't agree for sublease and you have somebody different in the house, very simple. It's called eviction. All I need to do is submit the file to my attorney. Today, the system in Florida is working very fast. 30 to 45 days, the sheriff is going to kick him out. And let's go back. You know who paid for that? The tenants pay for his own eviction. Why? Because as I said from the beginning, we hold 3 months. First, last, and security. If I do eviction, it means that he's not getting back his last and security. It's 2 months. That's the time that's going to take me to do the eviction. So the tenant is out. By the way, squatters, it's a different story. Squatters is called writ of possession, not eviction, which is similar, but it's happened also, unfortunately, from time to time. But it's the same process.
Okay.
Yeah. We work with a bunch of attorneys. Keep in mind, guys, that if you are registering the company under LLC or Inc. or other corporation, you must have an attorney. You cannot represent yourself in court.
That sounds like a costly endeavor.
The fee today for eviction in Florida is give or take about $450 to $550. But again, remember, you hold 2 months. So it's basically the tenant is the one that's paying for his own eviction.
Perfect. Any more questions?
Tal, I have a suggestion, maybe.
Sure.
I was going to ask because Ronnie said he managed the work orders by WhatsApp and email.
Okay.
And I think this is kind of messed up because how do you keep track of the property? What if for example, one tenant had a clogged, I don't know, toilet, and after 2 weeks, the same tenant has a clogged toilet, right? So either So either the tenant is throwing wipes and towels into the toilet, or you have a bad plumber that is doing a lousy job. But if you're going with WhatsApp, you have to look on the WhatsApp. Hey, when was that? Is it the same tenant? Is it not the same tenant? Or going by email. I use a software that's called Turbo Tenant. Then all the work orders are managed by there, and I'm not a property management company. Okay, I'm a private landlord, but I don't communicate with the tenants directly on a daily basis. Only by email. I don't let them call me. I don't call them. It's a big no-no for me because I live here, right, in Israel. I don't want you to call me at 3 a.m. Hey, I have a clogged toilet. I'm not going to do nothing. Okay. So this is just a question. How do you keep the track record of the maintenance?
Mr. Gaston.
Second question, please. Second question is how do you do like a preventive maintenance? Because Tom said like 3 minutes ago, right? The hot water tank will go bad in Christmas Eve, or I will have like a roof leak in the middle of the storm. Do you do any, or do you suggest any preventive maintenance to your clients so they won't stumble in this kind of issues, in Christmas Eve? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gaston.
Gaston, yes, sir.
Okay. So I thought that you asked how people communicate with us. We have a software. We have all the system. The people calling us and saying they are reporting us about issues via email or via WhatsApp or via phone call. That's it. But we have our own system. We know exactly when we replace an oven in unit 102 over here, or when to replace the AC, or when we fix the plumbing. But the way that they are communicating with us, it's via the WhatsApp or the email or the phone call. So
they don't drive you crazy answering to WhatsApp every day.
No,
and you have to remember which tenant is which number, and not all the tenants have WhatsApp. It's US. They usually do text or other software.
I'm going to tell our WhatsApp is usually on the computer. It's not on the phone.
On the cell phone, yeah.
Correct. So it's going to the computer. It's very easy. I see.
Yeah, but the problem is convincing the US people to install WhatsApp because they don't use this program.
No, we don't.
You know that.
We have a problem with payment. That's something else. But no, there's no problem there. About the
Preventive maintenance.
First of all, any tenant that coming to our units, we are giving them, if there's a central ACs. So for example, I give them yearly supply of air filters. You know why? Because I can buy it from Amazon and it's going to cost you $35, $36. And they have to replace the AC filter. If there is a problem with the AC and it's regard to the filter, the tenant on the lease have to pay the cost because he never replaced the filter. I gave it to him. Second, unfortunately in Florida, we have a lot of properties, especially in the old areas, that they are not connecting to the sewer. It's a septic tank. So we must, by the law, to do service every 6 months or a year to come and then put some powder inside. So that's something we have to do regularly because it's not connecting to the city sewer. Another issue, roof. We send the guy once a year to jump on the roof, on all the properties and check what's going on over there. The life of a roof is 25 years. So we have to send somebody like every year to go and inspect the roof. But that's basically the most problem issue that we have in Florida.
Yeah, what I will usually do, because my portfolio is in Ohio, so we have snow and icicles and that stuff. So I would every maybe November, December, okay, before it's getting cold, I would do like prepare the house to the winter. For example, cleaning the gutters, doing a roof tune-up, replacing the furnace filters, doing a general inspection to the plumbing. Okay, so this kind of stuff that I call so-called preventive maintenance. Okay, So also cleaning the gutters, I think it's also very, very important to avoid icicles and, water intrusion to the house because the gutters are backed up or plugged.
Yeah, but you forgot something. That's what I said in the beginning. We are in Florida and we have only 4 seasons. Our 4 seasons is summer, 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 and summer. So it's different than the other states. So we don't have heat system. By the way, in Florida, the ACs, some of them, you cannot turn them to heat. There's no heat because it's not necessary. So it's completely different than other states.
Yeah, it's specific to Florida and to warmer states.
Correct.
But in the north, northeast of the country, it's very cold, and some units doesn't have any AC even. So it's a different. Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna die so we can continue the conversation. I want to say something about the preventive
maintenance.
First of all, Gaston, and this is something that need to be kept in mind. A lot of it, your ability to do it, and I'll be honest, is how many properties you manage. To send somebody
six
exactly, to send somebody to clear the gutters for 6 properties is different than send somebody to clear the gutter for 300 properties. Time-wise, it need to work. It need to work. So there is things that you can avoid,
but it's not free, Tal. It's not free. This maintenance is not free.
It's not about free. Nobody said that it's free. But,
and you don't send one guy. If you have 300 properties, so you send 30 guys.
Yeah,
but on a regular basis, you need to have 30 guys. And on a regular basis, because one day you need to clear 300 gutters, you don't keep 30 guys all year long.
Nobody said nobody said it has to be in one day.
It's Gaston.
We have on our books, we have people that work full time.
No, it's okay. I'm not saying. It need to be, when you're managing, you need to understand the difference when you have scale. So I said 300. What if you do 4,000 units?
So it will take 1 month to clean all the gutters.
No, that's what you think. It's take much longer than a month. So
I know what you mean. As I said, I'm a private landlord and not a PM company.
So I'm saying
this is kind of different.
What you do need to be cost effective. And one of the things that you like to try to do is preventing is not an issue where you see it. For example, if I'll buy today a property with a bad roof, even if it's not leaking, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to replace the roof. That is, by the way, usually the biggest problem. But to tell you, or what Ronnie does with the filters, if you have good enough tenant that you can try to if you give them filter, they're actually going to do. In the state of New York, if I'll go to the judge and say to him, by the way, the tenant didn't replace the filter, so it's on him to fix the furnace, you're going to kick me from the court. So it's not going to help. Either you're going to send somebody to do it yourself, or once it breaks, you're going to have to fix it. So there is things that you can do. There is things that it's less pragmatic when you have a bigger scale and you're managing so many properties, because you need to react to much more properties, much more issues, much more tenants, and starting now sending 30 or 100 people to clear gutters and have this manpower, especially today when you have a manpower issue. I don't know, in Rochester, definitely there is. And all across the United States, there is a manpower issue. It's not necessarily something that, it's a good idea as an idea, not necessarily doable, especially in large scale.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
maybe,
a question?
maybe, yeah.
You think
Can I
that's
ask a
Tal,
Yeah,
who's
who's barking on the background? Whose dog is barking? Here we go. That was yeah. Okay, here we go. This is why we don't. I mute
See,
everybody.
that's the difference. Every state got their own rules and own laws, so it's completely different. Yeah, over here, yes. If the tenant's gonna throw wipes after I'm giving him the unit after 60 days, if I'm gonna find out that there's wipes and feminine in the toilet, I'm gonna charge the tenant for the plumbing issues. And that's legit to do.
Can I ask a question for maybe both
Yeah.
property management?
Yes, sir.
Where do you advertise vacant units? Do you have to advertise or
Good,
what is your
good,
contract with your landlord?
good question. So in Florida, actually, in most of the cities, I require by the law to put a sign outside, managed by, there is the sign, but it's managed by and leases by and phone numbers. So this is how people finding us. By the way, this is helping a lot because sometimes, like for example, in Hollywood, Florida, or in Miami, Florida, inspector gonna drive by, he's gonna see violation. For example, garbage outside. You're going to pick up the phone and you're going to say, hey guys, there is something outside, cure it, I'm going to pass by tomorrow. If not, I'm going to give you a violation. So this is how we advertise. Second, it's coming through our real estate sources. So when we work with investors, we offer them to use our services as a property management.
You got Ari, you got your answer?
Yeah, but do you have to go to MLS or Craigslist or something?
No. We work with the MLS. We don't work with Craigslist and we don't work with Zillow. Most of our properties will not be in Zillow. We are blocking that from going to Zillow. Because
What
it's
is
making
Ronnie, what is a failure on your part to rent a unit? If how much time passes and the landlord says, well, you're not doing your job, something is wrong.
Depends when, before the COVID or after the COVID. Before the COVID, yeah, it was sitting down on the market. Sometimes the landlord was thinking that it's one price, we recommend on a different price. So sometimes they lost a month of rent. Right now, it's a different story. Right now, for example, it's in Hebrew, we call it Shitat Hamita Hachama. Right now, the situation is that, for example, units that we know the tenant's going to be out by July 1st, they are already under contract with more money than was expected. So right now, it's completely different story.
Great. Any more questions for Ronnie? No, Ronnie, stay with us, please. I hope I pronounce your name right. Mojdan?
Mashkin.
I'm trying. Mashgan?
Mashkin.
I was practicing it all day long.
It's okay. Most people butcher it, so I'm used to it. It's okay.
I try my best. I was practicing all day long.
It's okay.
Mojgan, talk to us. You have an advantage because you had the chance to hear everybody before you. So now give us the North Carolina version of what we're discussing.
Which means it's going to shorten my speech over here because everybody else has said just about everything.
I have to stop. Tal, I have to stop you. And where are you from? North Carolina?
I'm in North Carolina, yes.
I'm jealous. Look at my photo in the back.
Oh, is that the mountains?
Yeah, that's the dragon.
Oh, look at you.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it, that's it. I'm jealous.
Well, you should, I don't know, Florida I love, but the weather, I need my seasons. That's why I like North Carolina. I like to have the 4 seasons and not the same season.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So how do you work over there?
Okay, so basically I have been doing real estate for over 22 years. I started out as an investor, just like most of you. So I was buying my own properties, fixing them up and holding on to them. This was before I even had my license. So it's probably even 25 years ago. It got to the point where a lot of people started asking us to manage properties for them because being in real estate, they saw how I was purchasing and managing the properties. So I decided to get my license because in the state of North Carolina, you cannot manage properties for other people if you're not licensed or have a real estate firm. So it kind of became out of an investment portion and it turned into managing for other people. So I have been managing properties for the past, I guess, 23 years for other people as well as for myself. In North Carolina, it is a little bit different. We've gone through a lot of stages, a lot of phases. COVID definitely had everybody in for a surprise. A lot of things changed, and I think people see property managers as we do collect money. This is what we do. But what they don't realize is if a tenant is not paying, I am working for free. So when you call me and say, hey, what am I paying you for? My response would like to be, well, you're actually not paying me because the tenant's not paying. So the tenant, so we are a percentage. So if a tenant is not paying rent, we don't collect our fee. It is not a flat fee. We don't do flat fee. We do a percentage of whatever the rental amount is. Our requirement, we're very strict on the application process. If we take on a property from someone else, it's a little bit different than when we are actually marketing the property, putting the property on the market and finding a tenant. Our requirement is every adult over the age of 18 has to apply and has to be on that lease. We do not allow occupants unless they are under the age of 18. So if we have to go to court, if somebody doesn't pay and there's 2 roommates, we hold them both liable. Both of them have to be on that lease. Both of them have to be responsible and can be evicted together. So it is a combination of, it's a lot of work up front just because we have showing agents that have to show the property. We don't allow people to just go in and see the property. We don't give codes. It's more of an agent has to accompany you. You have to qualify. We also do year leases. We don't do month to month. If we do a month to month and the owner is okay with a month to month after the initial term of the 12 months, then there's a premium rate that we charge and we only allow it for a certain amount of time. And that's if the owner is okay with that. Some owners say, I don't know if I want you to renew the lease because I may want to sell it. And if it's not really a property that caters to investors, then it's not to their advantage to have that 12-month additional lease because it's going to be harder for them to sell it to if it's a first-time buyer or just somebody just wants to live in the home. So that's kind of how our leases work, but otherwise we require leases. We don't allow people just to move in for a couple of months or do it month to month. What else can I tell you? So in North Carolina, the rules are a little bit different, I guess, than maybe where you are in Florida. We cannot just go by a couple of times a month to check on a property. It is not feasible to do that. We do inspections. We do inspections multiple times a year. We don't allow a tenant to renew their lease without having inspected the property. That is part of our requirement. If we haven't inspected your property, you cannot renew that lease. If you're not maintaining the property, you cannot renew that lease. So it's not just about, hey, let's collect this rent. Let's make sure that we're getting paid. It's about also protecting your investment, because if the tenant is paying, that's only part of the equation. There's another part of, is this tenant actually maintaining the property? Is this tenant destroying the property? Just because a tenant is paying rent does not mean that they're taking care of the property. So inspections are crucial. However, it is not going to be a couple of times a month. It is going to be multiple times a year. And we base our inspections on if we're going on certain part of town. So we schedule it to be doing inspections as well as showings. We take pictures and document the condition of the property. So if we are not going to renew the lease, there is a reason we're not going to renew the lease. What else can I tell you as far as that goes? Again, holding tenants liable. I think a lot of owners just want to make it easier on the tenants, but I think the more you make the tenant have a kind of an input in the property, just a stake in the property, they're more likely to maintain that property. So basically, when they go to move in, they have to sign a separate, not just a lease, but a separate maintenance addendum, which describes their duties of the property. So if in question, you're going to look at that where it says pest control, well, they're responsible for it. So don't contact me if you have spiders, if you have ants, that is a tenant's responsibility. If you have a clogged toilet, we send our plumber out. What is the cause of it? If it's wipes, if it's certain things that are not supposed to be used, they're going to get charged for it. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. Yes. Yes.
Squirrels are also a part of that pest control.
Excuse me?
Squirrels are
like on the
also
outside?
the tenant. Yeah, coming into the house or into the attic or something like that. Yeah, there must be a hole in the property, so that's
So
the owner's response. Yeah.
It is the owner's responsibility to fix the hole where it's coming from. Yes, it is not the tenant's responsibility to do that. It is the owner's. Say if they have mice, they're responsible for the mice. But if there's a hole where they're coming in through, it is the landlord's responsibility to fix that hole. So you do have to fix where it's coming from.
Okay.
Does that
great.
answer your question?
Yeah, of course. But what came first, the holes or the mice? What came first? Who knows?
Well, but you have to fix the holes and then have them take care of the mice. But I mean, they can be taking care of the mice while you're still fixing it. Sometimes they don't know where it's coming from. We tell them to please check areas, check under your cabinets, check, just look around. If they can't, then we will send somebody out just to see if there's an area that it's coming from. Sometimes we have found that there are holes in different areas that were caused by the mice coming in. So we do take care of that portion of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Morgan,
All right.
can you
And
tell us?
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Talk. Sorry, I apologize. No, I wanted to also to share with us as a manager, and that I asked from Tom and Ronnie as well, the day-to-day of it. This is general, but how the day-to-day works. But again,
Okay.
you're
Sure.
and
Well, everybody's about the same at the beginning of the month. We try and survive the beginning of the month because we do collect payment in every way. What we don't want is to make it harder for a tenant to pay their rent. Ultimately, we want them to pay. So we accept every form of payment. They have an online portal that the tenant can go in and pay anytime. They can come into our office. We are open during regular business hours, so they don't need an appointment. They can come in, they can pay their rent. We have a lot of clients who prefer to pay in person, and we're not going to discourage that. So we will allow any sort of payment. Now, if they go on their online portal and they pay with a checking and that check bounces, then their online portal is going to be closed. They will not be able to make another payment online if they bounce a check, and it stays closed for a while until they prove that they are going to be making those payments. We will not accept any more checks from that tenant. It would have to be certified funds if they if they bounce a check or something like that. So through their online portal, they're also able to put maintenance. We do not take any maintenance over the phone. It has to be in writing. And actually, per the state of North Carolina, all maintenance needs to be in writing. That doesn't mean that most property managers uphold that. We do, because if we have to go to court for any reason, we want to have everything backed up that shows if they had maintenance, when that maintenance came in, and it's not a he said, she said. But basically my days are just, I'm the broker in the office, so I'm one of the brokers in the office. So my job is not the collection portion of it. I'm here to bring in new listings, put properties, check on the properties as far as making sure I set the value of what the rental amounts are going to be. We have a marketing department. They are the ones that actually put the ads on, and I'm the one who makes sure, because it goes under my name, I make sure that the information that goes out is correct. But I'm not the one who actually does those ads. Now, we do put all of our listings on MLS, so I do have to go on there and check if something has been rented, to take it off of there, if something is being added, to check that listing. So those are some of the things that I do. Maintain just the staff, any questions that they have. We have our office meeting, kind of what our day is going to look like that day. Then our maintenance department starts looking at the maintenance and divvying out who needs to have what. So all of our workers are contractors. So we do not, our staff is our office staff, but any work that we do is contracted out. And those contractors give us the rates based on the amount of business that they're getting. So if they have a service call from me, it's not going to be the same as it would be what you are going to pay, because obviously they're going to give me the discounted rates per quantity of properties that we manage.
Can I
so
ask
that's
a
kind
question?
Yes, of course.
Regarding this exactly. If you have like a major or semi-major renovation, I know turnover, like a big project on a property, and you have your contractor give a quote, how do you, or do you accept owners if he wants to
Owners,
give
own
a quote,
contractors.
own contractors on the same work? How do you handle this? How do you appreciate this approach? How do
Okay,
you
sure.
discourage or encourage this approach?
Sure.
Do you expect to get something, or do you get, if you need to intervene with this, would you intervene a little bit, or maybe check after the work is done if the work is done correctly, or what is the whole process on this?
Yes. So basically, using our contractors there is no fee. So we do not charge a fee on top of what the contractors charge. We believe in passing those savings on to our clients. So if the contractor says this work is going to be $1,000, we charge you $1,000. The invoice actually comes from the contractor, not from us. We like doing this because we hold the contractor liable if there's any issues, and it doesn't have anything to do with Palmetto. It's their license, they are liable. Now, yes, if I have arranged for the work, if you want me to use your contractor, you are more than welcome to have us use your contractor. I just can't guarantee what kind of work they do, but you should know what that contractor does. I don't know what your agreement has been. So if you've agreed on something different, I would need to have all of that information. So when I go after the job is done to inspect it, I know what I'm expected to inspect. With our contractors, yes, usually if they're doing a big job, they'll expect to have half up front. They do not get paid the remainder until I have personally inspected that property. I send the pictures to the owner to tell them here's what was done if it's a contracting job, just so that you know, here's what we agreed that they were going to do. Here's the pictures of what it is now. And as an owner myself, I want to know what my property looks like after I've paid a certain amount of money. So yes, we are the go-between between the contractor and the owner, and we make sure that work is done. The benefit of using our contract, yes.
Where I have my properties, the management companies, they take 10% over what the contractors charge, so they have a stake in it.
We do not.
But
we do not.
But if in your system, if I use my contractor, I pay indirectly. Any promises things he doesn't deliver, then you have to go inspect. Then you just charge for this inspection, or
it's your thing. I'm going to go there one time when it's done. If they haven't done it, I'm going to tell you, here's what's done. I'm not going to go back and forth, because with our contractors, I know they're going to do it. They know they will not get business from me if they don't do the work that they're going to. My time is valuable. I don't charge for it because, as a property manager, I want to deliver the highest quality for my owners. But if it becomes a thing of where I'm going back and forth, yes, I'm going to tell you, I'll go there one time at the beginning, I'm going to go there at the end. But if it's going to be me having to keep going back and forth, I'm not here to monitor your contractor. I'm here because I trust the contractors that I use, and I know that when I go there, if it's not done, they're going to take care of it, and they're going to send me the pictures of it done. If I have to go back, they know I'm not going to be happy about it because they haven't done their job. So it's not a thing I'm charging, but if you want me to monitor your contractor, then we would have to talk about that up front of, hey, here's what I'm going to charge you if I'm going to have to go back and forth and essentially monitor your contractor for you, because I don't know who that contractor is. I don't know how they work. I don't know if they're going to do the work right. So that time is going to be of an amount, and we can agree to that up front.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Does it happen a lot that you people use their own contractors, or usually not?
So on small, we have owners that are local that have people or have a home warranty. So if they have a home warranty, we contact the home warranty. If they have a preferred vendor, yes, we'll contact them, but they're normally doing like, if it's HVAC or if it's small things here and there. But for the major renovations, a lot of people want to use our contractor because, again, he's going to give them the prices. He's going to, usually he does the right thing. But yeah, it does happen that owners want to use their own contractors, and that's up to them. You're not required to use my contractors.
How's Ronnie dealing with this issue? Maybe he's listening and wants to step in.
No, I'm the same as Miss Jordan. If that's a contractor that the homeowner is bringing, then I'm going to monitor him. But again, as I mentioned when I spoke, we charge for that. We're negotiating for that everybody is happy, because we don't charge the landlord fees when the house is vacant. But if it's 2-3 months renovating and we need to go over there all the time, right now, especially when the gas is crazy, even here in America, we need to be compensating for that. So we are working on some type of fee that everybody is happening for us to escort and monitor the project. Time is money by the end of the day, my friend.
Yes, gas is very expensive.
Yeah, I mean, listen, in Florida, we don't have a public transportation. And I came to a situation that with the cars, the gas that we are using over here, our gas went to average $400 a week. That's crazy. Last year, for example, we looked on the book. Last year, we were average of 150, 180. So it's crazy. Ms. Jordan, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
If you want to share.
Okay.
When you have a tenant that you need to renew the lease, what you charging over there in North Carolina?
When we don't have a tenant?
No, when you have a tenant that decide to stay for a second year, time to renew the lease, do you charge any fees?
We do not. We automatically renew it. So if the owner has not told us that they don't want to, and in our contract it states that they have to give us a certain amount of notice if they don't want us to renew it. If they do not want us to renew it, then they need to give notice. If they do not give notice, we automatically renew it. We do not charge a fee to renew it. We do have a lot of companies here that do charge a fee to renew it because it is so much work. When you go to renew it, you're doing a new lease, you're having to do inspection. We just don't charge a fee. We automatically renew it. The only time there's a fee is when the property is vacant, and that's to fill the vacancy.
And do you, like in us in Florida, do you take 3 months before the tenant is moving in?
So we take the first month and we take a deposit. The deposit is based on the application, so it could be higher, but we do not take first deposit and last month. It's usually a first here and a deposit. And it has to be held in the trust. So we prefer owners not to hold them, just because we know that they're probably not holding them where it needs to be.
Correct.
Because that's where a lot of real estate agents get into trouble, is because they don't have trust accounts and they're commingling the money. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah. It's happened all the time in Florida, for example, when homeowners don't return back the security
Yes.
to the tenant, and the tenant just need to go to what's called attorney under the tree, and they are
Yes.
going to the court, and then the first question that the judge going to ask over there, Mr. Landlord, where did you hold the money?
Yes.
And then the landlord going to say, oh, I hold it in my account. So that's it. The case is being dismissed. I mean, the guy is already won in new law, and the landlord is losing the money. So
Yes, they do.
it's
Yeah,
happened all the
and-
time
and-
over here.
And you probably have issues with owners wanting you to deduct for things that you cannot legally deduct for, just because they think that a tenant should pay for it. It is very strict in North Carolina what you can and cannot charge a tenant for from their deposit. So knowing the changes is important, because you may think that you can charge for something, but if you do, and the tenant reports you, they can end up getting their entire deposit back because of a technicality of a mistake that you made in charging for something that you couldn't. So I'm
And how
thinking
to
you
do
guys
it.
are strict too.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about tenants?
Yes.
So this is for anybody who wants to answer. As a longtime owner, one of the things that changed a lot for me from the early days was an understanding of how important the tenant screening is. And I mean, not just the things that we all know about, credit and eviction record, criminal record, all the, you know, and obviously income, but getting a sense of who these people are, and are they going to take care of my house? Are they going to be easy to work with, and things like that. So I'm just wondering if you guys have any tips, secrets, or even what do you find to be the ideal types of tenants? Just an example, in the last few days, I happened to have conversations with a lot of different owners. And it was kind of interesting because one person told me that he most likes single moms because they're never going to let anything bad happen to their kids. Another one told me that he likes like grandmothers in their 70s of a particular ethnicity.
Is that Tinder? Is this Tinder or real estate?
Well, there is something to that. So I'm curious
well,
what you guys.
unfortunately, you cannot screen crazy. But I mean, there's really, I have had owners tell me they want specifics, and I go back and tell them, as long as you're not discriminating against, you know, the protected classes, then it's fine. For example, I've had owners say, look, I don't want college kids in my property. That's fine. I can say no college kids because they're not a protected class. So I don't really think that you can screen that way in a certain type or this or that, because there's always downsides to that. I definitely think following up with the rental history. We get a lot of people, because our criteria is rental, employment, credit, and background. We get a lot of people that give fake landlords, but we follow through. So just because if it's a company, it's a lot easier. But if it's a private landlord, we pull up records to see if the name that they gave us is actually who owns that property. So we don't just go by what they tell us. We actually go and look and check. Hey, is this who it is? And we question them. Hey, you said this is the owner of the property, yet this is not the owner. So who is this person? And a lot of times they get caught in the fact that they're being fraudulent. So it's just, I think, important to follow up and not just take it for what you see on the application, but really screen and do your due diligence for your client.
Do you find that a lot of people have, a lot of management companies have told me that they don't bother calling previous landlords because they say if it's a bad tenant, the landlord's going to actually say good things about them to get rid of them. And if it's a good tenant, they might actually say bad things so that they don't move.
Absolutely not. We have to check. If we can't get the rental verification, that's a big part for us. And, you know, we don't take anything over the phone. We require them to actually put it in writing so that it's not something that we said. All of our rental verifications, when we do with a company, we email them to them or we fax it to them. So we have their response in writing. So if they say something bad and the tenant says you denied me based on what, we have records of that. So no, we do definitely do rental checks. And with our system, when you're pulling up their credit and their background, the addresses are going to pop up. So if they have an address on there for a landlord that doesn't pull up under their credit, then that's already a sign that there's something going on, because that property should pull up under where they have lived or received mail or something. So yeah, we definitely check rental.
I want to say something about this.
Can I add something for,
One second, Ronnie. 1 second, Ronnie. I want to say something about this, Cheryl, because you brought up a very important issue, which is choosing tenants, and how do we choose them? And Morgan was very clear about it. You can't filter too much, other than a very specific thing, which is like income, unemployment history, stuff like that. But you can say, I want white or black or Asian tenants. You can have, I want a woman versus a guy. And I want to make it very, very clear. Today, especially with the atmosphere, with politically correct I, by the way, agree with it. But with whatever going on right now with politically correct and all of this, everything that goes around it, you need to keep in mind, the authorities actually crack down on this. They can send to your office 2 couples that are going to give you pretty much the same details to see how you react. And there is a very famous case in New York that the complaint was on a level of, you gave this couple a cup of coffee versus you make this couple unwanted in your office. They didn't even say no. How they treated them in the office while they were in the office. It goes to that level. And the authority test it. They're actually literally sending investigators to rental offices and real estate offices to check if different people with the same apparent background are being treated differently. So you got to be very, very careful of what you say, what you ask. You can't ask every question that you want. You need to be super, super careful. It's a great way to get into trouble.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm aware of all of that, and obviously I'm really not talking about like any kind of racial decisions or biases like that. I'm talking about the kind of intangibles, like if you have an open house for a rental and you have 20 people come and you're meeting all of them, you're gonna have a gut feeling, or something's gonna tell you, or for example, you can tell that one person, they are probably going to be a long-term tenant. The other one may come out and say, I'm probably moving out of state next year. There's many, many, many nuances to it. So I'm just curious about who makes the best tenants, or, what.
The best tenant. Yes, Arnie.
Yeah, we use a system, we screen the tenants. By the way, I have to add to what you said. In Florida, if somebody is coming to you and they are coming to the offices, they are calling every day. If you put a listing for rent and they're asking you, would you accept Section 8? If you're going to say no, you're in a problem, because Section 8, you have to accept them. You cannot say no, we don't take them.
What if the house doesn't fit Section 8 standards?
That's something else. So you can say the house is not past the inspection, or I have a doubt if the house is going to pass, but you cannot say, no, we don't work with Section 8. That's something that they're going to look for you. Second, I work with a software that I refer all my prospective tenants to a full background check. As of May 14, we don't allow to tell prospective tenant that we will not have him because he have eviction. We can say the report showing and the landlord is refusing to take you. I don't know why they decide to do it, but we do a full background check that we check verification of income and national evictions. So if somebody had an eviction in Ohio, we're gonna know that he's trying, to scam us over here in Florida. So that's what we are checking. And I do the same as you said, Miss Jordan. I check that the landlord is the landlord. One of the biggest frauds over here in Florida, and that's happened, unfortunately, every month. When people are coming to units that they are Airbnb, they are renting them, and then immediately they are posting them on Craigslist, and they're trying to rent them for other people, pretending that they are the landlords. And that's happening all the time. So yeah, we check that the landlord is the right landlord.
I have a question. It's a kind of question divided in two. One, the question is about renters insurance. Sometimes it's overlooked, but it's very important. So one, do you require renters insurance? The second one, if yes, how do you enforce that the renters insurance is up to date, even after the first
Okay.
year?
Okay, I can answer that for you, what
Yeah.
we do. So per our leases and per like when you go to fill out an application, because our applications are online. So when you go to fill it out, it's very clear. In order to rent one of our properties, you must provide certification of renter's insurance. Now, the way we control that is we do not have them sign a lease until they actually have that. One. Two, they must put Palmetto on that certificate. So if they do it at the beginning, just so that they can get into the property, anytime they make any modifications to that policy, we are notified. So if they don't pay, if they decide to cancel, the insurance agency contacts us, sends us a notice that, hey, this payment is delinquent, or cancellation notice. We contact the tenant and let them know, unless they provide immediate proof that they are in good standing, they are in breach of their contract, because our contracts have a section in there regarding renter's insurance, that they must at all times have renter's insurance.
Okay, and can you share the maintenance or the liability, addendum that you mentioned prior with Tal, and Tal
Sure.
can send it to us? Yeah,
Yes, of course. I can send a sample.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Modgan, are you guys, one of the questions that comes a lot is animals and pets.
Mhm.
Tell me your approach to animals and pets, please. Talk to us about that.
So we have, right up front, we discussed with owners if they would allow pets or not. All of our listings, that if the owner says no, then when we go to market it, it'll say no pets. If they say maybe, then we put in pets negotiable. They are required to provide us a picture of the pet to make sure they are not on a restricted breed. We do not allow any pets under the age of 2, and your pet has to be spayed and neutered. And a pet for us is anything: cat, dog, birds, iguanas, those are all considered pets. We require a non-refundable pet fee that has to be paid. If that pet causes damage, it is not from the pet fee, because that is non-refundable. It is deducted from the deposit. If they cause more damage, then obviously you charge them more if it's over the deposit. But there are restricted breeds, so we make sure that it's not one of those restricted breed, and no puppies.
What do you do if I had a scenario that people coming without the pets, no pets on the leases, everything is good and kosher, but then 4 months along the road they have a pet, and I've been there, and I ask what we do right now, and they say, I ask myself, what do I do right now? And then they are waiving emotional support animal, and I have a problem with that because I cannot do nothing legally. So is that something that you have also in North Carolina?
So yes, emotional support, even if you say you don't allow pets,
Exactly.
emotional supports are not considered pets. And unfortunately, more and more people are having that. And you cannot ask them why they have an emotional support. As long as it provides you with certificate, that's all you can do to go by that. Now, if that emotional support, and it's in our contracts too that they sign, if that emotional support animal becomes a nuisance, if it causes damage, they are still treated the same way as a pet, and you can still charge a deposit I mean, I'm sorry, a like damages. But if they do not, you cannot even charge them the pet fee. There's no fee you can charge an emotional support animal, no matter how much you want. So
No.
you just can't charge it up front, and you cannot deny it. You have to accept the pet, whatever kind of pet it is. So, but if we have found, we have gone, we just evicted one because they were not supposed to have any pets. And when we went to do an inspection to the property, they not only had a pet, but that pet had puppies. And she said, oh, it was my boyfriend's, it's not mine, I'm going to remove it. Well, in our leases, it says, even if you have a pet that's staying there without permission, you're charged a fee. So she was fined as well as evicted because she had the dog and she had the puppies that was causing damage to the property. And that was found on our inspection. So just protect yourself and your clients in the leases and what the scenario is if they have an illegal pet. They still have to pay the pet fee if you allow it, but they will still be charged a penalty fee for having it illegally too.
If it would be up to you, would you allow pets?
If it's up to me,
If it was up to you, one
Guys.
second. Ronnie, 1 second. We'll get to you. Don't worry.
No.
If you would up to you, Mojgan, would you allow pets? As an experienced property manager, would you allow pets?
I would allow pets depending on the breed, the size, the references of the pet. I think it restricts you a lot. I have a pet. I would not move anywhere without my pet. But I'm a responsible pet owner, so it really would depend. And I would put negotiable based on the pet that they have. But I would definitely not allow aggressive breed. I would not allow anything young. No puppies whatsoever.
Yes, Ronnie.
No, what I want to say is that sometimes you have to be very careful because, for example, in some of the counties in Florida, you're not allowed to have certain type of pets. For example, in entire Miami-Dade County, you're not allowed to have pit bulls. So you have to watch out because if the tenant has a pit bull, that's going to roll over to the landlord. So you need to protect the landlord, the investors that holding the properties.
First of all, today the insurances are not allowed to.
They're not.
No, the insurance not going to say.
What?
Insurance not going to say.
I'm saying you're covered by your insurance if there is any issues. The insurance is not allowed today to differ between different type of dogs. Even they are considered to be dangerous. If you're insured, you're insured. They can't say no. A pet is a big thing. I personally don't allow pets in my properties. It needs to be a very unique situation. Obviously, emotional dogs and everything that is related to that, I can't say no. But in our properties today, we don't allow any dogs or pets for that matter. In specific cases, if somebody wants to, and there is a specific case, we're willing to do. But our ad says no dogs, no pets allowed.
And I think it depends on the property. If you have a property that has a fenced yard, if you have a small dog, I have seen more damage through kids on properties than I have pets. So I'm just.
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with it. A lot of it. In New York, you can't take dog fee or pets fee. It's not allowed.
No pet fee.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, you can have rent. You can have pet rent here. A lot what apartments charge pet rent. Yeah.
Not New York are more restricted, so you need to be careful what you can do. So for us over time, this is something that we say, you know what, we're not going to deal with it, and that's it. So it was a decision. I have a dog. I love my dog. I'm very happy that my landlord. I'm a renter as well. We're very happy that it allows us, and we have the insurance and everything. But as a landlord, we don't allow dogs. It's too much of a headache. We don't have much time, guys. Mojgan, anything else you want to add before I want to have a couple of words and then we're almost done with time.
Unless there's any questions, I'm good.
Any more questions, guys? No. Okay. Modern, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. You've been great.
Thank you.
It's very important for us to remember, and this is something that for us as landlords, we need to remember that our tenants are our clients. They are the one that pays the money that allow us to do what we do. They are the one that pays. I see a lot of cases where the conversation about the tenants is a very aggressive conversation. Oh, I would do that, and we need to keep in mind, we provide a service. The service that we provide is housing. Our clients, it's not our only clients, but our clients are our tenants. So we need to keep that in mind as well in the way that we communicate to them, in the way that we communicate about them, and the way that it needs to be a respectful communication between a business and his client. Because if we call Amazon or any other company and on the other line, whoever is customer service won't talk nice to us or abuse us in any way, conversation-wise I'm talking about, or raise his voice, will be very offended by it as a client. And we need to remember that in that case, we as a landlord or we as a management company, we are as a customer service. So we need to keep that in mind, even the fact that the property sometimes belongs to us directly. This is one thing. Another thing that we learn over time, and maybe because we are dealing more with the C properties, it's maybe less common to accept the tenant as something that is reliable. Believe what they have to say. Usually if the tenant complains, he complains for a reason. So we tend sometimes to dismiss, oh, they are troublemakers or whatever it is. I'm telling you that our experience and even mistake that we did over time, we found out that eventually the tenant was right. So give them the credit that if they complain, there is the one that abuse it, don't get me wrong, but most of them, if they complain for a good reason. Maybe they don't do it in the nicest way, but the reason is there. So this is another thing that it's very important for me as a landlord and as an investor, and also as somebody that manages properties. She does it, but I'm going to say me. To pass it along that we got to look at them. It's much more expensive to replace a tenant than find a way to make him happy to keep, and keep him as long as, of course, he's paying rent and he's behaving in all of this. So we need to do sometime the extra mile, maybe build relationships, especially when it's a new tenant. Let's say I bought a property that there was a slum landlord for 20 years. They come with a package. So sometimes I need to be the first one to do the first step to build some kind of relationship. But keep in mind, it's much more expensive replacing a tenant than keeping one and find a way to communicate and work with him and make him pay rent on time. All right? Why? Hey, I don't hear you, Ronnie, sorry. Ronnie? No. Chris? Yes.
מה שאתה אומר, מה שאתה אומר.
מה שאתה אומר, אוקיי.
Well, I think,
Yes.
no, I think there's a little bit of rephrase of the tenants are your clients. I think the tenants are your employees, not your client, because the client's always right.
Do you have a W-2 for them?
No, it's like a virtual employee. No, it's like treat them like an employee, right? Not like a client.
Actually, your tenants are your customers, your owners are your clients. Just
Exactly.
They're the ones that are paying you.
You got it all wrong, dude.
Yes, but what's the main purpose of the tenant is to give you income, right?
He's buying a service for you. He's buying
Yes.
a service for you. The service that he's buying is space. Let's call it space, okay?
And what happened if? Okay.
One second, Gaston. And if
Yes,
he's
sir.
buying space from you, he's your client.
He's your client, but also he's your employee. Virtually,
he's
you're
not my
employee.
employee.
Not
He's not my
with the
employee.
W-2. Try to get inside my head, okay?
I
Not
don't
like
know.
an employee, like with the W-2 employee.
No, he's a client. He buys service that you provide as a landlord. He's a client. It's the only way to look at it.
And
He's
what
not an
happened if he
employee.
doesn't pay the rent?
He's not a freelancer.
What happened if he doesn't pay the rent?
Like every good employee, like every good
Employee.
customer, if a customer doesn't pay for a service, you don't use him as a customer, but you need to look at him as a customer.
So you
You're
need
not
to
firing.
remove.
You don't firing a tenant.
You actually do if you evict him.
No,
If you
you
evict
don't
him, you're firing him.
you don't evict him. You evict him, but you don't fire him. It's not your decision. Eviction is a decision of a judge, not yours. So you're not evicting somebody, it's a judge evicting. You ask for, if you want to get into it, you can ask for a tenant to be evicted. The person that actually evict the tenant is a judge, not you.
It is only symbolic, but you caused it.
No, it's not
And
symbolic.
you pulled the trigger. You pulled the trigger for the eviction.
No, you don't pull the trigger
They
because
didn't went to the court by themselves. Hey, please.
No, you don't pull the trigger because if the judge not gonna agree with you, you're gonna say no.
So
agree
let
with-
me just, sorry, let me just, the owner of that property is your client, and they are the ones that initiate you being able to file the eviction. Once you file it, then the judge is the one who grants your eviction. But I think we need to understand who the client, who the customer is. The customer, you're providing a service to the customer, but your client is the owner of that property. That's who you work for, not for the tenant.
The person that make this pay for the person that at the end of the day, at the end of this chain that pays for everything, let's say you buy a car, okay? Let's go to that direction. I buy a car, I want to buy a car. There is employees in the factory, there is a factories, there is Elon Musk, whoever you Mr. Ford, or whoever you want. There is an agency that sell it. But at the end of the day, the person that pays for all of it, and this money is being split between all this key personnel on the way, is a buyer. And if you're going to look at the chain when you do real estate, the person that at the end of it pays for all of this, he pays for our commission, he pays for management, he pays for water, he pays for, is a tenant. So he's like the buyer of the car. And you got to treat him like that. Because if you're gonna go inside, you know the show with the movie with Robert De Niro that is trying to be a car seller, a car dealer, being very rude to the tenant. By the end of the day, the person that pays for all of it is the tenant, and you need to look at him as a customer and give him a customer service, appropriate one. And if you're going to be happy with you, you're going to stay there. If you're not going to be happy with him, like any business, you can say, I wouldn't like to give you service anymore. That's okay. But it still needs to be in a certain way because he's a customer. And I'm happy to brought it up because it's exactly what I was talking about. We got to look at them at this way.
Actually, that leads me to another question. What happened to a tenant that's not paying and is asking for service? Okay, he's not paying the rent, but he has a backup sewer. So on one hand, it's not what?
There is a law for that, and you follow the law. That's out of your hand to decide what to do.
Mr. Gaston,
Whether the tenant pays rent or not is you have to provide the maintenance. That does not matter. The service has to be provided until you go to court and get them out. You have to still maintain that property, and you're not just doing it for the tenant. You are doing it for the client who owns that property. If you don't fix that plumbing, then ultimately the owner is the one that suffers, not the tenant.
Yeah, I know. This is I'm a private landlord, so I don't represent any landlords. So I'm just asking some scenarios that have been.
You're required to, no matter what, you are required to do the maintenance.
I am doing that even. I am doing that, but I was wondering if no payment equals no service.
No, absolutely not.
Actually,
Great
you
way
can
to
be- you-
great
you
way
can
to
be
get into
sued.
trouble.
Yeah, you can be sued for that.
Yeah, I know. So I'm
Can be sued, and
I'm
any
doing it right.
Yeah, and any eviction process, by the way, can be stopped due to the fact that you didn't provide service.
Yeah, I'm
So
clear. on that.
if you want to evict a tenant, it's your objective, one of your main objective when you're evicting a tenant, that the property going to be in a great condition. So
Yeah,
when you
everything
go
has
and
to be
stand in
by
front
the
of a
book.
judge,
Everything has to
you
be
said
by
I
the book.
did my best.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Guys, we're running out of time. First of all, I would like to thank Tom. I don't know if Tom is still here, and Ronnie and Mojgan, of course, for sharing with
Of course, I'm
us.
still here.
Ah, okay, great. You're quiet, and I don't see all the list in front of me, so I wasn't sure. I do see Ronnie, and I just talked to Mojgan. I wasn't sure if you're still there. Thank you very much, guys, for sharing our experience with us. And if anybody wants to communicate, be in touch or ask questions, I'm going to send an email probably tomorrow or the day after with a recording of this conversation. And if it's okay with the presenters, I can add your contact information. Somebody needs your service or want to ask questions. And you guys can take it from there. And of course, all of it going to be on YouTube, so you can look at it again and or share it with somebody that you think going to enjoy it. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Guys,
for
thank you.
arranging. Appreciate it.
Shalom, shalom.
Thank you,
Thanks for
guys.
having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank
Toda
you.
רבה,
Bye, good
לילה
night.
טוב.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Bye bye.